Hello, hi, welcome to yet another episode on Critic Special 2023. So we have Sangeetha Devi with us. ఈ రోజు ఇప్పుడు మనం మాట్లాడబోయేది ద బిగ్ ఎంటర్టైనర్స్ ఆఫ్ 2023. అంటే ఈ ఇయర్లో రిలీజ్ అయిన సినిమాల్లో ఏవి అత్యద్భుతంగా ఆడాయి, బిగ్గెస్ట్ ఆఫ్ బిగ్ హిట్స్, బ్లాక్ బస్టర్స్ అండ్ అబవ్ యావరేజ్ ఆడిన ఫిల్మ్స్ అండ్ ఫిల్మ్స్ విచ్ యాక్చువల్లీ వర్ క్రిటికలీ అక్లెయిమ్డ్ దో దే డిడ్ డూ వెల్ ఇన్ ద బాక్స్ ఆఫీస్. సో ఇలాంటి సినిమాల గురించి మాట్లాడుకుందాం. So I have Sangeetha Devi with me. Hi Sangeetha. Hi.
Hi Prema.
Again,
thanks.
one more episode.
Yes, and this is a nicer episode. At least we'll be saying nice things.
Nice things about people.
Last episode విని ఎంతమంది తిట్టుకున్నారో తెలియదు డైరెక్టర్స్ అండ్
అంటే మనం
ప్రొడ్యూసర్స్.
ఎప్పుడు నెగటివ్ ముందు మాట్లాడుకుని తర్వాత పాజిటివ్ మాట్లాడుకుంటే అప్పుడు మనం ఈ సెకండ్ హాఫ్ సినిమాలో కూడా అంతే కదా.
ఓకే.
పోస్ట్ ఇంటర్వెల్ బ్లాక్ నచ్చితే సినిమా హిట్.
ఓకే.
అట్లా మనం కూడా ఇప్పుడు ఈ ఎపిసోడ్ తోనే మనం అందరి హృదయాలు దోచేసుకున్నాం. ఓకే, సో విల్ స్టార్ట్ ఆఫ్ విత్ Jan to March period. So January, two big hits, Veera, Reddy and Waltair Veerayya. Really it started off very well. Veera, Reddy, Balagam garu and Gopichand Malineni, and Waltair Veerayya, Bobby and Chiranjeevi. What a combination. So I think we should talk about both these.
I think both these films had one 90s or 2000s hangover. That was my assumption that was my assessment during that point of time. I'll differ slightly from you in the fact that I didn't enjoy both these movies completely.
Avuna? Okay.
Yeah. Veera, Reddy, I thought it was like the same old faction drama and all that, and you could have done better, I thought. In this day and age, either you could have reinvented it or done certain new kind of storylines or whatever. ఎక్కువ నచ్చలేదు ఆ మూవీ నాకు. ఇట్ డిడ్ నాట్ వర్క్ అవుట్ ఇన్ స్పైట్ ఆఫ్ వరలక్ష్మి, శరత్ కుమార్ అండ్ ద బ్రదర్ అండ్ సిస్టర్ యాంగిల్ బీయింగ్ అ స్ట్రాంగ్ వన్ అండ్ ఆల్ దాట్. Sore points, if I should say, was Shruti Hassan's characterization in that film. Kada, the way suddenly, she sniffs at something and then she breaks into a dance and all that, it became almost like a mockery. So, eppudo choosna familiar drama, and that was my opinion about it. The Sankranti festival mood, and then with both these heroes coming back, it's almost like for every generation you grow up watching certain people's movies kada. So a nostalgia factor dwara I thought it worked big time. Waltair Veerayya was comparatively better. Ravi Teja and Chiranjeevi, the way they played off each other, idiot reference kani ledo, even the gang leader and Muttamestri and those kind of references. Again, that was also like a nostalgia factor. So all that helped. But even now I'm hoping and waiting that somebody will write a better story, a better screenplay for a superstar like Chiranjeevi to reinvent himself. Idi manaku matram kadandi. If you see the other languages also, every other superstar has gone through one reinvention and then they have bounced back this year. Not that all the films were like excellent and all that. Jailer was not like an excellent film. But at least he got to play his age. When somebody plays his age, it's all the more convincing, and it's nice. They're also very easy in their skin when they play something like that. I would reserve my opinion still on that. Though Waltair Veerayya was comparatively more enjoyable, and it has certain fun segments which I thought Bobby did it well.
But మన దగ్గర కల్చర్ ఎట్లుంటదంటే మన ఇండియన్, ఎస్పెషల్లీ ఇండియన్ ఫిల్మ్ గోవర్స్, వీళ్ళకి they have this liking or passion towards larger than life films. And especially వాళ్ళ బిగ్ హీరోస్, వాళ్ళ బిగ్ స్టార్స్ అలా స్క్రీన్ మీద డాన్స్ చేయటం, ఫైట్ చేయటం, జనాన్ని కొట్టడం, ది ఎంజాయ్ దట్.
No, that is okay.
That's what the nostalgia factor. Yeah. And Sankranti, festive season, nostalgia, and your big stars performing on the big screen in a big way. So ఇది బాక్స్ ఆఫీస్ కలెక్షన్స్ అనమాట. That helps you for the collection over the box office. And that way I think both the films have done well.
Okay.
And ఆ రకంగా కలెక్షన్
point of view they did well.
Exactly. Very true. Then we have this beautiful film that I really liked, writer Padmabhushan. Suhas, the way he's picking up his roles, అసలు నిజంగా అప్రిషియేట్ చేయాలి. అబ్బాయి దగ్గరకు వస్తున్నాయా, మరి అబ్బాయే సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకుంటున్నాడా అలాంటి క్యారెక్టర్స్ మనకు తెలియదు. బట్ విచ్ ఎవర్ ఫిలిం హీ డస్, సంథింగ్ న్యూ, సంథింగ్ నావెల్, సంథింగ్ యూనిక్ అండ్ సూపర్ ఫిల్మ్. నాకైతే చాలా నచ్చింది రైటర్ పద్మభూషణ్. అండ్ దెన్ and then you have this Sir Dhanush hero
movie.
Venki Atluri,
Yeah.
and then we have this Balagam, Priyadarshi, and Venu Yaladandi, it's Discovery. Then we have Rangamaarthaanda, Krishnavamsi గారి సినిమా. దో అది బాక్స్ ఆఫీస్లో అంతగా కలెక్షన్స్ రాకపోయినా చూసిన ప్రతి ఒక్కళ్ళు మాత్రం చాలా టచ్గా ఉంది ఫిలిం అని అన్నారు. అండ్ దెన్ ఫైనలీ దసరా ఇన్ దట్ సీజన్ ఆఫ్ నాని అండ్ శ్రీకాంత్ ఓడెలా, హూ ఇస్ ఫ్రమ్ సుకుమార్ గారి స్కూల్ and the debutant director. So these are the films. So we'll go one by one with writer Padmabhushan.
Writer Padmabhushan, Shanmukha Prashant, kada director.
Shanmukha Prashant.
Yeah, I think some of them, they know each other for a very long time. Chai Biscuit time lo YouTube videos and short films chestunna time nunchi they know each other. So appati nunchi it's been like a journey for them, and now we are seeing some of them making these big feature films and all that. Writer Padmabhushan was a very interesting idea, larger than life and all that we've been talking about. Suddenly you take them into a small town and you have a very everyday person. He's not very good at what he does. He thinks he's a writer, but nobody buys his book. So it's a very interesting story to explore. The last 20 to 30 minutes is where I thought that film peaked. When Rohini's character, you kind of, okay, 1 hour mundu you get a little bit of a hint that it could be Rohini and you can guess. Because when she tells Ashish Vidyarthi, okay, conversation time lo she corrects and she gives the right kind of a word. So that was a hint that okay, she's the one who's probably the ghost writer and she's writing the whole thing. And I say that is where I thought that drama really in between కొంచెం మధ్యలో ఉన్న పోర్షన్స్ తీసుకుంటే it was very ordinary. It was a little flat. Interesting story. First you set up Suhas's character, that Vijayawada library, he's like all that you've done. After that it's almost like it's going nowhere. And then the salvaging part is the last half an hour, I thought. In koncham I thought they could have it's a very sweet film, but koncham if they had concentrated on writing it a little, even the mid portions a little better, it would have been even better. That was my suggestion. But I liked. I didn't have major complaints about it. And Rohini, I think she's very good at what she does, so it's like it moved me to tears that way.
So then sir ki mixed talk వచ్చింది. కొంతమంది చాలా బాగుంది అన్నారు, కొంతమంది అస్సలు బాగాలేదన్నారు, కొంతమంది ఓకే అన్నారు. సో ఐ థింక్ సార్ సినిమాకి వచ్చినంత మిక్స్డ్ టాక్ ఈ ఇయర్లో కొంతమంది అంటే కంప్లీట్ ఇంక్లినేషన్ టువర్డ్స్ అ ఫిల్మ్ తీసుకుంటారు, ఓకే అంటారు. బట్ సార్ ఈజ్ లైక్ చాలా మిక్స్డ్ టాక్ వచ్చింది. ఐ డోంట్ నో వై, వాట్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు టెల్.
ఈవెన్ ఐ హ్యాడ్ అ వెరీ మిక్స్డ్ ఒపీనియన్ వెన్ ఐ వాజ్ వాచింగ్ ఇట్. అంటే ద సోల్ ఆఫ్ ద స్టోరీ అబౌట్ రిఫార్మింగ్ ది ఎడ్యుకేషన్ సిస్టమ్, సోషల్ రిఫార్మ్స్, అబౌట్ గవర్నమెంట్ స్కూల్స్ వర్సెస్ ద ప్రైవేట్ సెక్టర్, ఇలాంటి టాపిక్స్ ఎప్పటికీ రెలవెంట్గా ఉంటుంది. బికాస్ దిస్ ఇస్ అ ఎవ్రీడే సిచ్యువేషన్ దట్ పేరెంట్స్ ఫేస్ అండ్ ఆల్ దట్. అండ్ you so there is potential in a story over there and what he does and all that. But within that framework, it's a very, very familiar trajectory the story takes. How good a do-gooder can he be? And then all the problems that will be mounted on him. Ippudu Samudra Kani character kanivandi ledu, all the other private school owners, they all behave in a certain way. I think there's one scene at one point where Srihari's character says there's a limit to how much politics you will do. And that's when he gives up and he says no, I can't do it and all that. So it was a very, very formulaic within that message oriented movie. You need these kind of movies to be made, but not so flat also. It could have been done a little better. But these kind of movies will also have its audience, because థియేట్రికల్గా కానివ్వండి, లేదు అది అయినాక ఓటీటీలో వచ్చినప్పుడు ఇట్స్ అ వెరీ ఫీల్ గుడ్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ అ మూవీ. యూ వాంట్ టు లుక్ అట్ సంథింగ్ లైక్ దిస్ అండ్ సే ఓకే, ఇట్ విల్ బీ నైస్ టు హ్యావ్ అ చేంజ్ లైక్ దిస్, సోషల్ ఏజెంట్స్ ఆఫ్ చేంజ్ అనేసి ఫర్ ఎవ్రీ జనరేషన్ టు హ్యాపెన్. దట్స్ హౌ వీవ్ సీన్ బెటర్ పర్ఫార్మెన్సెస్ ఫ్రమ్ ధనుష్.
అండ్ ఐ థింక్ నాకేమనిపిస్తుంది అంటే, ఏదో శంఖంలో పోస్తే తీర్థం అంటారు కదా, ఇలాంటి సోషల్ ఇష్యూస్, ఇలాంటి కాన్సెప్ట్స్ ధనుష్ లాంటి ఒక స్టార్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ వాల్యూ ఉన్న వాళ్ళు చేస్తే కొంచెం రీచ్ బెటర్గా ఉంటుంది
తప్పకుండా. బట్ ఇన్ స్పైట్ ఆఫ్ ఇట్ ఇట్స్ అ వెరీ వాచబుల్ ఫిల్మ్.
ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ. ఎస్, నెక్స్ట్ వీ హ్యావ్ బలగం. అస్సలు బలగం ఇస్ మోస్ట్ అన్ఎక్స్పెక్టెడ్ బ్లాక్ బస్టర్ ఆఫ్ ది ఇయర్. అంటే ఎవడు అసలు ఊహించలేదు.
అలాంటి ఒక ఫిల్మ్ షూటింగ్ జరుగుతున్నది కూడా ఎవరికి తెలియదు,
వచ్చింది కూడా తెలియదు.
1 week ముందు ట్రైలర్ కూడా రాలేదనుకుంటా. I remember seeing one Instagram post which Priyadarshi put up at that time and I was wondering, is this a music video? మా ఊరు పల్లెటూరు.
నేను రామ్ మిరియాల చూసి అనుకున్నా. ప్రియదర్శిది నేను చూడలేదు. రామ్ మిరియాల పాట పెట్టాడు. రామ్ మిరియాల మంగ్లీ సింగింగ్ దట్ సాంగ్. They both were there in the song. So I was also thinking it is a music video. I didn't know it was a film. నేను రామ్ మిరియాలని అడిగాను, చాలా బాగుంది పాట ఏంటి అంటే, ఒక సినిమాలో వస్తుంది ఇప్పుడు. ఓ సినిమానా, ఐ థాట్ ఇట్ ఇస్ అ మ్యూజిక్ వీడియో అని.
బట్ ఐ థాట్ దే ప్లేడ్ ఇట్ వెరీ స్మార్ట్లీ. పల్లెటూరులో ఎక్కడ wherever that movie has to have its reach and then that is its audience అన్నప్పుడు they went and marketed it over there. And when everybody was saying only tentpole films will work, only the big action entertainers will work, they said no, this also can work. I would also credit big part of the Balagam success to Dil Raju and his son and daughter. Yeah. Suppose a big producer has not backed this film ante, there are lots of nice small stories which can be developed and which will not even find its audience.
Correct.
So that due credit over there. But the biggest surprise was Venu Yeldandi. Aynalo inta writing skills undanesi or this kind of talent anesi many of us don't know about it. It was a revelation.
Correct.
Hindilo there were a couple of movies which explored this kind of a premise. Large joint family, oka death అయిపోయింది and then within those next few days what happens anesi. Paglight was one movie. Ram Prasad ki Tervi. That was one. And then Tamillo Settu Maayiram Pon anesi oka movie. Kannadalo Titi. These kind of different movies were there which explored what happens after somebody dies. ఆ విలేజ్లో ఏమవుతుంది, ఆ ఫ్యామిలీకి ఏమవుతుంది, ఫ్యామిలీ స్ట్రక్చర్లో, ఆల్ దోస్ థింగ్స్. ఓకే, సమ్ ఆఫ్ దమ్ ఆర్ సీరియస్, సమ్ ఆఫ్ దమ్ ఆర్ స్లైట్లీ కామెడిక్ అండ్ ఆల్ దట్. Balagam, I thought, really stood out by mirroring a certain culture. ఇప్పుడు ఒక హైదరాబాద్ దాటి ఒక 100 కిలోమీటర్ వెళ్తే, or for that matter anywhere in this country, every 100 kilometers you have a slightly different dialect. Food habits are different, cultural practices are different. How much of it is mirrored in our cinema? Very less. Especially in Telugu cinema, at least it's very less. Manaku alanti movies ఎక్కువ రావట్లేదు. We can do a little more. దానికి మార్కెట్ ఉందా లేదా అనేది these kind of films have proved. Yeah.
మీరు అన్న ఒక ఇంపార్టెంట్ పాయింట్ సంగీత, which I agree is backed by Dil Raju. అసలు ముందు దిల్ రాజు గారు అలాంటి సినిమాని ఎంచుకోవటమే అదొక చాలా సర్ప్రైజింగ్ ఫ్యాక్ట్. అంటే ఆయన జనరల్గా కొంచెం బిగ్ ఫిలిమ్స్, బిగ్ బడ్జెట్స్ అండ్ లార్జర్ దెన్ లైఫ్ ఫ్యామిలీ ఎంటర్టైనర్స్, మెయిన్ యాక్షన్ ఫిలిమ్స్ వాట్ ఎవర్, ఎక్కువ ఫ్యామిలీ ఎంటర్టైనర్స్ ఉంటాయి. సో ఇలాంటి కంప్లీట్ రూటెడ్ ఫిలింని ఆయన పిక్ చేసి, ఆయన దాన్ని ఓన్ చేసి దాన్ని ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్ళడం అన్నది ఎన్నో సినిమాలకు హోప్ ఇస్తుంది. అంటే ఇలాంటి కొత్తగా తీద్దాము అనుకునే డైరెక్టర్లకి ఇట్ ఈస్ అ హోప్. దట్స్ వాట్ ఐ ఫెల్ట్. అండ్ ఆల్సో you should talk about the Tata character and the mother's character, Kavya Kalyan Ram. వీళ్ళందరూ కూడా they've done amazing. and అందరూ కొత్త వాళ్ళు. అసలు ఎంత న్యాచురల్ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్.
మదర్స్ క్యారెక్టర్ అంటే రూపా కదా, రూపా షీ వాజ్ ఎక్సలెంట్ ఇన్ దట్ ఫిల్మ్.
నో ఈవెన్ ద తాత, ఆయన 15 నిమిషాలే కనిపిస్తాడు కానీ ఆ 15 నిమిషాలు క్రియేటెడ్ అన్ ఇంపాక్ట్.
సో ఇట్స్ లైక్ సుధాకర్ రెడ్డి, వాట్ హీ స్టాండ్స్ ఫర్, ఆ చిన్న ఫోటో పట్టుకుని, ఇట్స్ లైక్ this could have been in any other family. It's a universal story of human relationships, family relationships, but you're showing it in the backdrop of a very believable, authentic kind of a cultural phenomenon. So వీళ్ళు వేణు ఎల్డెండి గారు ఒకసారి చెప్పారు, when one of his friends, somebody passed away అన్నప్పుడు ఊరికి వెళ్ళిపోయి ఒక 10 days అయినా కూడా రావట్లేదంట. ఇంకా అక్కడ ఏం చేస్తున్నావు అంటే, భలే ఉంటాయి మన ఊర్లో కొట్లాటలు, మన ఫుడ్, మన కల్చర్, కొట్లాటలు చాలా బాగుంటాయి అంటే. సో దట్ ఈస్ వేర్ ది ఐడియా స్టార్టెడ్. ఓకే లెట్స్ గో బ్యాక్ టు అవర్ రూట్స్ అండ్ సీ వాట్ ఈస్ ఇట్ దట్ మేక్స్ ఇట్ అనేసి. సో దర్ ఇస్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ కామెడీ, బట్ ఇట్స్ ఆల్సో వెరీ సోల్ సర్చింగ్ ఇన్ అ సర్టన్ వే. అండ్ హౌ ఫర్ స్మాలెస్ట్ ఆఫ్ రీజన్స్ ఫ్యామిలీస్ కెన్ fall apart, ego issues
and come back
so also. I liked a lot of performance in this film, right from Priyadarshi to Kavya to many of the supporting characters whose names also we don't know.
Yes, especially that Meenakka character.
Yeah. She was excellent.
I loved every bit of it. Then we have Rangamaarthaanda.
Okay.
సో నాకు కృష్ణవంశీ గారు అంటేనే బేసికల్గా నాకు చాలా ఆయన అంటే నాకు అభిమానం ఎక్కువ. ఎందుకంటే ఆయన రైట్ ఫ్రమ్ ద బిగినింగ్ ఆ సింధూరం నుంచి తీసుకుంటే కూడా ఆయనలో ఒక అద్భుతమైన ఒక సోషల్ కాన్షియస్నెస్ ఉన్న ఒక దర్శకుడు కనిపిస్తాడు, ఒక పేట్రియాట్, ఒక జాతీయత భావం, లేకపోతే మన దేశంలో ఎన్నో సమస్యలు రుగ్మతల మీద ఆయన ప్రతి సినిమాలో ఒక అడ్రస్ చేస్తుంటాడు. హీ జస్ట్ బ్రింగ్ అవుట్ దట్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ అండ్ పుట్ ఇట్ ఇన్ సమ్ ఫార్మ్ ఆర్ ది అదర్, వెదర్ ఇట్స్ రిలేషన్షిప్స్ ఆర్ వెదర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ సోషల్ ఇష్యూస్ ఆర్ వాట్ ఎవర్. సో నాకు రంగమార్తాండ కూడా అలాగే అనిపించింది.
I think it takes enormous courage in this day and age to make a film like రంగమార్తాండ. పాండమిక్ తర్వాత థియేటర్కి మళ్ళీ జనాలు వస్తారా, ఎలాంటి ఫిల్మ్స్ చూసేకి వస్తారు, నోబడి నోస్, ఎవ్రీబడి వాజ్ లైక్ ఇన్ వన్ డైలమా అబౌట్ ఇట్. సో ది ఐడియా కేమ్ ఫ్రమ్ ప్రకాష్ రాజ్ గారు, హూ వాంటెడ్ టు అడాప్ట్ నట సామ్రాట్ కదా, దట్స్ హౌ ఇట్ స్టార్టెడ్. కృష్ణవంశీ గారు వాజ్ వెరీ రిలక్టెంట్ ఇన్ బిట్వీన్, హీ డి నాట్ వాంట్ టు మేక్ ఇట్ అండ్ దెన్ హీ జంప్డ్ ఇన్ టు ఇట్. One of the biggest takeaways from this film was the performance of Brahmanandam Garu, I would say. Nobody showed him in that kind of light earlier. So it was a revelation to see him and Prakash Raj's character playing off each other and with a theatrical part. Yes, and you know, that entire episode was, I thought, the highlight of the film, all that. So this is one aspect of it. And the idea that you have to take care of your parents, be a little more sensitive, will always be relevant. It will never go out of fashion, not in the Indian family structure. But I had a few reservations also about the film. I need to be very honest when I share that obviously with you. I thought the same idea could have been treated in a slightly contemporary manner. ఏదో ఒక 70s or 80s ఫిల్మ్ చూసేనట్టు అనిపించింది, with a few characterizations. If I have to just take a few examples, again, it is not out of disrespect to the filmmaker at all. We are talking about a filmmaker who's been like who is a legend, and a lot of the present day directors look up to his work.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's only meant to be like constructive criticism ankochu, like, or just a different viewpoint from a different generation ankochu. So even some of the characterizations, they are very straight jacketed or very one note kind of characters. But Adarsh Balakrishna was the son kada. He's like shown almost always as being very meek kind of a character. Okay, and the daughter-in-law who's like Anasuya, she's shown to be very aggressive and manipulative. There are no 2-3 different shades to her. So it's very compartmentalized. Those things I thought could have been better fleshed out. If I have to take one example of a scene, I think that, see, there's one scene where Veelidru, they are working throughout the night kada, Adarsh and Anasuya's character. I think they're working from home, but they are like logged in throughout the night. So work hours aina tarvata, only at daytime they look forward to just getting a few minutes of sleep or something like that. Aa time lo veelu kinda oka rehearsal modal pettaru, the elders, and that irritates them.
Yes.
Now this is like, you know, it's a situation which could have happened in any home during lockdown or during any time.
Very true.
You're working, people are homebound, and then somebody is not sensitive to it and not very knowingly also, unknowingly they do something. Oka fight ravachu things, but you're painting somebody as a villain and somebody as like, you know, ayyo papam anesi.
Yeah.
So I thought those kind of situations could have been better handled. I'm no expert in saying how a screenplay should be written or whatever. Koncham contemporary situations could have reflect chesainattu, it could have been changed, is my opinion.
Yes.
But still it's a relevant idea, and it's very gutsy of him to have made this film in this day and this age.
Exactly. And I like the way Shivatmika performed, and you know, Rahul Sipliganj, bringing him into the film. Ivanni konni kotta vishayalu kottaga anpichayi, and a girl of that age who's hardly 23 or 22 when Rangamaarthaanda happened, Shivatmika, head-on collision with Prakash Raj and Ramya Krishna, who are like so seniors and senior most and so experienced. Aliddartoni clash on scenes. I think she just pulled it off so well, I felt. And also Mirannattu Brahmanandam and Prakash Raj hospital lo scene, it reminded me of Anand. Rajesh Khanna and Amitabh Bachchan. నాకు అట్లా కొన్ని అలా అనిపించాయి అసలు when I was watching that.
Shivatmika is a very good actress. I liked her even in her first film
పంచతంత్రం also.
Dorasani, Panchathantram. Tamil cinema ఇంకొకటి ఉంది నిత్తం ఒక వాన.
నిత్తమూరం, ఆకాశం.
Yeah. Very sweet.
Yes.
Very sweet. And sweet in the sense it's not like one of those very pretty girls who doesn't know to act. She really knows to hold attention, how much to act, how much to hold back. All that she knows. I like her.
She's yet to get her due. I think bigger films and all, whatever. Again, Dasara also, చాలా మందికి నచ్చింది సినిమా. కొంతమందికి అసలు మొత్తం రైట్ ఆఫ్ చేశారు. So it was like extremes. There's no mid talk. Either it was very good or it was not all good. ఆ టైప్ లో ఉంది.
I heard both the reactions I heard.
Yeah.
But I watched it even a second time, I should say. I don't know exactly why I felt like watching it the second time, probably to understand the coal mine and that Godavari Kani kind of dialect better, and so many other factors would have been there. Initially చూసినప్పుడు I was like, what is Nani trying to do? It was like that. I couldn't put my finger on it. But okay, he has a way of choosing films. Mostly he makes wise choices. Let's wait patiently and see. And I was like hanging on. So Dasara, I think the biggest asset was again mirroring a certain very hyper local culture. Godavari Kani area, the dialect that they use. See, I'm not an expert in local lingo and all that. Our time lo I remember some of the ADs who worked along with Srikanth Odella and who wrote the dialogues for it. They were giving examples of how they use certain words, certain phrases which only they have seen around them, all that. It's a very simple story. There's a friend and there's like a love story.
Ante.
And then there's a metaphor of their names also. Vanilla, Suri, Dharani, all that. But how you mount this kind of a very simple story in a very local setting and you give it that authenticity makes all the difference. There's also caste and class politics, which a lot of Telugu movies don't discuss.
Yes.
Gloss over chesestaru. Ante rich and poor and ala matram cheptare kani they will not talk about say a Dalit issue or a caste issue specifically. Ikkada they also had that silk bar. So who enters the silk bar, where you have your alcohol, is determined by your caste. So they used it in an action mass masala kind of a template, and they knew how to use it also. That was a plus point, I thought. And even ilanti oka framework lono, they had like a solidly written character for Vanilla. Okay, it's not about her screen time alone. The second half, the film is out on OTT, everybody has watched it, so it's okay to discuss a few spoilers. So that scene where Dharani comes and gets married to her suddenly, for a second when that happened, I was like aghast. I was like, idedo oka 90s Telugu or Tamil cinema chusnattu undi kada, why did they do this oka male savior complex la anti oka situation anesi. But a few scenes later, they address it. Kada, when she asks, why did you do this? And then he's also a little apologetic about why he did that. And then their romance takes a little bit of time to bloom. And it's with a much more mature outlook and all that. So these are those gentle touches also which worked for me in that film. And Santosh Narayan's music as well.
I liked his background score. More than the songs. It's like the background score that really worked for the film, I felt. Especially a chasing scene where the friend is champestaru.
That was a very chilling scene also. The way it was choreographed.
చూస్తూ ఒక్కసారి ఇట్లా వెన్నులో వణుకొచ్చేసింది అలాంటి ఒక సీన్ అది. It was very well conceived. I really liked that part. And as you said, Kirti Suresh's role also. ఇంకొక ఫ్యాక్టర్ ఉంది. చాలా మంది తాగి చచ్చిపోతున్నారు. So the women in the village are getting affected and the families are getting
adi kuda they addressed it. They did not use it just for oka style kosam kaadu adi.
Right.
Initially lone they discuss about prohibition and what happened after prohibition. There's an entire song which describes the situation in that village.
So but I really appreciate Srikanth Odella for actually అలాంటి కథ రాసుకోవటం దాన్ని కన్విన్సింగ్ గా చెప్పటం, అది కూడా డెబ్యూ ఫిల్మ్. And backed by Sukumar. Sukumar is someone who's really, అంటే ఆయన నిజంగా టీచర్ అంటే టీచరే. అంటే ఆయన ప్రొఫెషన్ ఏదైతే ఉందో నిజంగా ఆయన స్టూడెంట్స్ అందరికి ఈ షోయింగ్ అ వే. ఇప్పుడు ఇయర్ ఆయన స్టూడెంట్స్ చాలా మంది వచ్చారు. శ్రీకాంత్ ఓడేలా, కార్తిక్ దండు, So many of them. They're doing. We started off with Kumari 21F, and it's still going.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I felt. Okay, then from April to June, we have first Virupaksha. Karthik Dandu, again Sukumar's product.
Sukumar Prodigy.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have Mem Famous.
Okay.
Then there is Pareshan.
Yeah.
Rupak Ronaldson's movie. And then Samajavaragamana.
Ramabraj.
So, now let us talk about each one of them.
Virupaksha was like a surprise. I think the summer was the most boring summer అనుకుంటా కదా, పెద్ద మూవీస్ ఏది లేవు, and it was like almost 1 or 2 weeks. I even remember that we did not go out to review anything. We were doing other things but not reviewing movies, and I was thinking ఎప్పుడు ఒక సమ్మర్ కూడా ఇలా ఉండలేదు కదా అనేసి. But Virupaksha came like a nice pleasant surprise. Very atmospheric thriller is what I would describe it as. Last year we had Masuda, and this year we have Virupaksha. They didn't use those high decibel sound manipulations or the jump scares just to get that thriller atmosphere. It was a very, very moody atmospheric thriller where you just get into that kind of a jungle village. And then one series of instances happen, superstitious versus whatever is happening. There's also another couple whose story is intertwined along with what's happening over here. So I thought there was quite very interestingly written and executed by Karthik and his team. One of the nicely made movies this year. Towards the end, I had some issues with the kind of visual effects which were there or whatever, but it's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
One thing we should really talk about is Haidharam Tej's comeback, and anta pedda.
It was good to see him coming back.
Nala చూడటం మళ్ళీ భలేగా అనిపించింది.
Yeah.
And then sustaining the suspense till the last minute. That is amazing.
Yeah.
And ఇంకొక 3-4 నిమిషం వరకు కూడా తెలీదు who is the main antagonist అన్నది. It was a surprise and a shocking element. And he's done it very well. చాలా అద్భుతంగా సస్టైన్, డౌట్ కూడా రాకుండా he's done it so well.
Ajanish Loknath was the music composer kada, Kantara.
Kantara. Then we have Mem Famous. So I want to talk about Mem Famous.
Mem Famous was a lot of fun for some time. I didn't like it completely and all that. Akkadakada koncham bore anpichindi, or I thought it was like a very small idea stretched into a 2-hour film and all that. But full credit to very young people who were part of this film, Sumant Prabhas, and the energy which they got the entire thing rolling. That whole idea of tents and then like for marriages and all that, I didn't know about this part of Hyderabad at all. One of my colleagues told me, she said when she was growing up, this is how they used to hire like somebody from a tent, and they would manage the entire services for a wedding or for a function and all that and do it. So a film exploring something like that was good. It was a coming of age story about boys finding their purpose in life.
Exactly.
And with a lot of comedy.
And అబ్బాయి అసలు ఒక ఫస్ట్ టైమర్ లాగా, అసలు అబ్బాయి డైరెక్టర్ అంట, రైటర్ అంట, యాక్టర్ అంట. సో నైస్. హీస్ హార్డ్లీ 24 and I was like so surprised and felt so happy. అంటే ఇంత యంగ్ టాలెంట్, they're coming up, they're showing up, and I'm very happy for producers like Anurag and Sharat backing up such
the Chai Biscuit group.
Writer Padmabhushan అలాగే చేశారు. Chai Biscuit is
they are good because they know to identify talent and also encourage them, throw them into the deep end and say that do this and show it to us. It's not like they just give away something. I think they put them through a certain kind of a learning process, and then they give them the courage on the platform to go ahead and make a film also.
And the way they promote, so unique. Mem Famous promotions were so unique. They called every actor and then they made them dance.
I think Advishes was the last one, no? It was like almost like a spoof of the whole thing, saying that they were laughing at themselves, saying that this is how we chase the celebrities.
Then Pareshan. Rupak Ronaldson's film.
Very indie kind of execution. And again, backed by Rana. Rana is someone who picks up correct talent and అంతకుముందు కేర్ ఆఫ్ కంచరపాలెం అలాగే చేశాడు. Ghazi attack. So he's like, he knows. He understands which film will really do well. So he's been supporting, backing. No, he's on the lookout for very different kind of things to do, not only within the parameter of a story or a production and all that, even his business ventures and all that. If you see, he has a far sight to look at what else needs to be done to to have different kinds of things happening to tell stories. Telling stories is the major criteria, but whether you do it through AI or whether you do it through a small indie kind of a film, and he's always there to support some interesting work which takes place. Rupak Ronaldsen's story, absolutely loved the way Thiruveer's character was written, as well as Pavani's character was written, and both of them performed also amazingly well. There was a certain innocence to it, a very small town innocence to how they were talking. Chinna dialogues lo kani, the way the other characters also. I think there's one scene where that girl doesn't even know to say lip gloss. She says something else.
Yeah.
There's a very naive innocence to that kind of a thing, and you almost feel like as though a candid camera has been placed in a village. Nothing is glossed over, and the people look and talk and behave like the way they would do in a village. So those things were like really nice. And again, Muralidhar Gaud's character. He's like, one of those gospel singers, and what he wants to do. And that music is also in that kind of a template only. Very small town, not very polished. So it's like slightly funny as well. So avanni chala baga chesaru. But somewhere after a point, I got a little, okay, it's getting a little too much అని అనిపించింది.
దానికి కారణం కూడా ఉండనుకుంటా నాకు అనిపిస్తుంది సంగీత. అంతకు ముందే మేం ఫేమస్ రావడము, పరేషాన్ మేం ఫేమస్ అంటే కొంచెం
ఒక ఫెటిగ్ ఫ్యాక్టర్,
సిమిలారిటీ, డైలెక్ట్ తెలంగాణ.
దిస్ ఆల్సో హ్యాపెన్ సమ్వేర్ ఇన్ ద పాకెట్స్ ఆఫ్ దట్ కోల్ మైన్.
ఎగ్జాక్ట్. అంతకు ముందు దసరా ఒకదానికి ఒకటి లింక్ ఉన్నట్టు అనిపించి కొంచెం ఫెటిగ్ వచ్చేస్తుంది.
When this review went up, I remember a lot of people said, no, we come from this pocket, this is how people are, even the youngsters, this is how they are. So that way probably they've done justice to it. Even a couple of other reviewers who I really like, the younger people, they both like the review. I was thinking nakenduku work out avvaledu anesi, at that time I was thinking about it. But I had to be honest to what I felt while watching a movie.
Absolutely.
It was interesting, but not one of the greatest films of the year for me.
Okay, so the last film of this particular 3-month period, April to June, is Samajavaragamana.
That was a surprise. Nobody expected something like that, I think.
But I think Sri Vishnu picks up that. I don't know, he's also again very smart guy.
Okay.
He మంచి కథలు భలే ఎంచుకుంటాడు, ఆయన పాత్ర ఏంటో చూసుకుంటాడు, and he makes sure that his films do well. ఏదో సాకంగా he has that knack in him.
No, Samajavaragamana was such a surprise. ఆ ట్రైలర్ చూస్తే పెద్దది ఏం అర్థం కాలేదు. I was like, okay, it will be a time pass. I thought it will be like a time pass. Okay, let's go and sit and see it. And nothing prepared me for that role reversal of the father and the son. I thought that was the most
hilarious.
Interesting part of that entire thing. So even later on, if they had just gone a little mellowed and subdued and certain things, they కొంచెం బోర్ అనిపించింది అంటే కూడా you don't mind it. Because on the whole, they cracked what they were supposed to do, and you had a very good time laughing. So it's a good watch.
Then from July to September. So July we started off with Baby, Sai Rajesh's film, Anand Devarkonda and Vaishnavi Chaitanya. Then we have Bedurulanka. So this also again had mixed reviews. Kartikeya and Klax is the director. Then we had Kushi, Shiva Nirvana's Vijay Devarkonda and Samantha. So now one by one, let us talk about Baby
first. First one is Baby. Baby, I had some reservations about it. అది రిలీజ్ అయిన రోజు ఆ రోజు నేను చూడలేదు. ఐ హ్యాడ్ సమ్ పర్సనల్ ఎమర్జెన్సీ అండ్ ఐ కుడెంట్ వాచ్ ఇట్, అండ్ ఐ న్యూ గోయింగ్ బై ద ట్రైలర్ అండ్ ఆల్రెడీ ద డిబేట్స్ వర్ రేజింగ్ ఆన్ సోషల్ మీడియా కదా. సో యూ కెనాట్ వాచ్ అండ్ డూ అ క్విక్ రివ్యూ అనేది అర్థమైంది నాకు. సో ఐ స్టెప్ బ్యాక్ అండ్ సంబడి ఎల్స్ డిడ్ ఇట్. సో ఐ వాచ్డ్ ఇట్ a little later, and then I think all of us spoke to Sai Rajesh about our own apprehensions about the film and whatever it is. One of the things, I'll address the not so nice part of the film first. You know that one clipping which went viral kada everywhere. He's like almost like taking her to task because she wants to go to a pub or you know the cuss word which was used kada. So that was, I thought, very, very, very unfortunate. We live, like it or not, we live in a time when people can just take a 1-minute clipping, judge the entire movie by that process, and shame anybody. Okay, now this is a pitfall. I don't know how directors are going to even address it. Should they factor in all these things? ఇన్స్టా రీల్స్ చూసి షార్ట్ అటెన్షన్ స్పాన్ వల్ల this could be a fallout as well, where you're not waiting for the next 10 minutes to see how she reciprocates and how she retaliates and she puts her feet down. That is one aspect of it. But what troubled me while watching that clip, or even while watching that film in that particular scene in the theater, was, see, it doesn't take much for the society as such to judge women who are slightly educated, who want to have their freedom of choice. Freedom of choice could be freedom of choice of working, to have a little bit of financial stability. Ade chalu, that will make a lot of men insecure. You don't even need to go to pubs and clubs and all that. You could just be a working woman going back home in the evening, okay, just getting slightly delayed. Even then some things can trigger like this with very possessive boyfriends or possessive husbands and all that. So that way, because of life experiences and what we have observed around us, I thought, couldn't you have written it in a little sensitive manner? That was my reservation about it. Also, what happens is, see, you're telling a story about 3 very immature characters. All 3 are immature, irrespective of their gender. Okay, whether it is Anand Devarakonda's character,
Viraj or Vaishnavi.
Viraj and Vaishnavi. But why does Vaishnavi end up getting the flack? Because of the way you open the film. You know, you've shown that he's almost become like one Devdas kind of a character. He's brooding, he's like addicted to alcohol now, and he's like on gone case. So you're opening the film like that, and you're showing that, well, she's like, there's nothing wrong in what she's actually doing in the initial portions. Akadakada hint istuntaru. She likes to have gifts. Her mother is very materialistic. Father is very sensible. So where does she take that learning from? All that is there. But in spite of all that, when she aspires to do, okay, let me just live the high life, let me want to try, it's one very naive and very you know, she's also not very sorted like her friend. There's another friend also, who does not get swayed by all these things. She's not like that. So ala unnappudu, and he's also very, very possessive and very control freak kind of a guy. All that you're telling us, but you're also telling us that he's taken a big loan even for his auto, and then he's spending on her, he's getting her a new phone, and she doesn't even acknowledge it, and she goes for a bigger phone. So obviously people will think that she is the more flawed character, kada. And even towards the end, when you show that she has moved on, she's gotten married, but he has no choice, and then whatever is written behind his auto, girls have no choice, whether it's like, you know, the families force them to get married and move on, or whatever it is. Koncham, I thought the way that entire film was structured, it made her come out in a very bad light. But in spite of all that, I would say I love all the 3 performances. Anand Devarakonda's performance was very, very good. Middle Class Melodies also, I've liked the way he carried himself off, and he fit into that kind of a role. He knows that he's not like, you know, he's not going after the star material and all that. Very everyday kind of characters, grey characters also he's willing to take up credit there, and he did it well. Same with Vaishnavi. She's like, I think, one of the good finds of this year.
Really good finds of the year. Yeah. Very true.
Viraj's character, you could see obviously that he's very manipulative or whatever. The other sore point for me in that film was that Sita character.
I was actually, నేను సాయి రాజేష్ వాళ్ళ గ్రూప్ అందరూ ఇంటర్వ్యూ చేస్తున్నప్పుడు ఐ ఆస్ దిస్, అసలు ఆమె క్యారెక్టర్ అవసరం ఏంటి? వీళ్ళ ముగ్గురు సరిపోతారు, ఒకళ్ళనొకళ్ళు అంటే టాంట్ చేయడానికి కానీ, లేకపోతే హ్యూమిలియేట్ చేసుకోవడానికి కానీ, తిట్టడానికి కానీ, ఈ ముగ్గురు చాలు. యూ డోంట్ నీడ్ అనదర్ క్యారెక్టర్ టు ప్లే అన్ ఎక్స్ట్రా రోల్. సో ఐ ఆల్సో ఫెల్ ద సేమ్. అండ్
but he said it was inspired by a few people that he observed in real life.
బేబీ సినిమా ద్వారా నాకు ఒక్కటేమనిపించింది అంటే, ఓకే, see, women have moved on now. Women have their own choices, whether it is with respect to career or education or man they choose also. అంటే మగవాళ్ళు ఏదైతే చేస్తూ వచ్చారో ఇంతకాలం, అది మాత్రం మీరు యాక్సెప్ట్ చేశారు. ఉమెన్ డస్, యు ఆర్ నాట్ యాక్సెప్టింగ్, యు ఆర్ నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు మూవ్ ఆన్. అండ్ ఓకే, ఉమెన్, ఓకే, ఈమెకి నెగిటివ్ షేడ్ ఉంది, ఈమె చేస్తుంది, ఈమె ఇట్లా అయింది, యూ ట్రీట్ ఇట్ ద సేమ్ వే అన్నది నా పాయింట్. సో దట్ వే ఆ విషయంలో సాయి రాజేష్ సక్సీడ్ అయ్యాడని నాకు అనిపిస్తుంది. అంటే వెరిన్ He felt, women also have the wrong side. Women also are flawed. Women also have choices, or they can also make wrong choices. It's okay. When you can accept a man, why can't a woman? Annadi.
Did people look at it that way? I'm not very sure.
I don't know.
Majority of the audience ఇది
They don't
ఒక
look at
jilted
that
love story లాగానే చూసిపోతారేమో.
Correct. Then we have Bedurulanka. కార్తికేయ చాలా కాలం తర్వాత ఒక మంచి హిట్ వచ్చింది అని అనిపించింది నాకు. అక్కడ అది అగైన్ ఇక్కడ కూడా మిక్స్డ్ టాక్ ఉండే, అంటే కొంతమంది చాలా బాగుంది అన్నారు, కొంతమంది ఓకే అన్నారు. నాకైతే నచ్చింది బెదుర్లంక. ఐ లైక్డ్ ఇట్.
I liked it in parts. Very interesting idea, and even Clarks is like a very interesting guy. The kind of thought process he goes through, or like even his comedy is very different.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking only about the film. Tanato maatladinappudu kuda the way he talks about certain things, it will just make you crack up.
Okay.
And you will think that, okay, this guy seems to be interesting. What is he going to tell us?
Yeah.
Very interesting idea of the end of the world and the doomsday philosophy and what happens in a very cut off kind of Vedurulanka becomes Bedurulanka.
Yeah.
That fear factor and superstition, religion, so many interplays are there. But point ainanka that innovativeness wore off. It just became like a series of gags and so many other things like that. I thought it didn't really make for a great film than like what they thought it would be.
Yeah. And then Kushi, Shiva Nirvana, Vijay Devarkonda, Samantha. This was like, oh my God, what a combination. And we know how sensible Shiva is with his earlier films. ఈ సినిమా అగైన్ ద సేమ్ థింగ్. ఈ సినిమా కూడా చాలా బాగుంది అని అన్నవాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు, అస్సలు బాగాలేదన్న వాళ్ళు కూడా ఉన్నారు. సో వాట్ ఈస్ యువర్ ఒపీనియన్ ఆన్ దిస్, ఖుషి?
I thought they played too safe. There was a nice it's again, that's also very interesting how much one gets into, one family thinks so much about all the rituals and following those kind of traditions and all that. The other family is completely different. They only go by science, but going by both are a certain type. Okay, there is no midpoint between the two of them. Both are like one caricature. Oka extreme lo unte inkoka family inkoka extreme lo untaru. So when the clashes of opinions actually begin only when the parents get into the situation, because until that they show you that, okay, these two they've made a decision.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come to a midpoint and we'll live our lives without friction. And I see it's almost like the first year anniversary and all that is getting over, I think. అది అయినాకనే ఫ్రిక్షన్ మొదలవుతుంది ఎప్పుడు, ఆఫ్టర్ ద పేరెంట్స్ స్టెప్ ఇన్ టు ద పిక్చర్.
Yes.
బట్ ఐ థాట్ ఇట్ వాస్ అ వెరీ అండర్ రిటన్ ఫిల్మ్. దే ట్రై టు జస్ట్ ప్లే వెరీ ఫీల్ గుడ్ అండ్ వెరీ దెర్ ఆర్ పీపుల్ హూ ఆస్క్ మీ, సో వాట్ ఈస్ ద కాన్ఫ్లిక్ట్ పాయింట్ యాక్చువల్లీ, అసలు ఏం జరుగుతుంది అనేసి. ద ఫ్యాక్ట్ దట్ షీ లాస్ట్ అ చైల్డ్ అండ్ దెన్ దట్ బికమ్స్ అ రీజన్ ఫార్ ద పేరెంట్స్ టు సే నౌ యూ హ్యావ్ టు ఫాలో అ సర్టన్ రిచువల్. It will happen in any family.
Yes.
It will happen in a lot of families. They will just not let you be, but you're not probing deep into it because you don't want it to get very emotionally high and things like that. Mainly I thought it was a very underwritten film.
కాకపోతే ఒకటి వాట్ ఐ ఫెల్ట్ ఇస్, అంటే పెళ్లికి ముందు జరిగేది ఏదైతే ఉందో లవ్ ఫ్యాక్టర్, అదంతా చాలా సేపు చూపించి పెళ్ళి అయ్యాక జరిగేది చాలా తగ్గించేశారు. సో అది కదా కాన్ఫ్లిక్ట్ మెయిన్ అన్నది నా పాయింట్. సో అక్కడ కొంచెము అంటే రైటింగ్ కి స్కోప్ ఎక్కువ ఉంది, తీయటానికి స్కోప్ ఎక్కువ ఉంది అనిపించింది. సో దే వేస్టెడ్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ టైమ్ ఇన్ లవ్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ దెన్ మ్యారేజ్ ఫ్యాక్టర్. సో అక్కడ కొంచెం కూర్చుంటే మేబీ ఇట్ వుడ్ హావ్ బీన్
a little more.
Exactly. So we have Miss Shetty Mr Polishetty in the same period.
Okay.
So Naveen Polishetty and Anushka, Mahesh is the director. సినిమా నాకు చాలా నచ్చింది. అండ్ దెన్ నాకు ఎక్కువ నచ్చింది అంటే నవీన్ పోలిశెట్టి ప్రమోటింగ్ ద ఫిలిం, పుట్టింగ్ కంప్లీట్లీ ఆన్ హిస్ షోల్డర్స్. అసలు there was nobody other than
I think
Naveen.
non-stop he was traveling within the Telugu states as well as US.
Yeah.
It just didn't stop. He just took it on his shoulders and he kept traveling, kept promoting the film. And he was excellent in the film.
And it paid off. Yeah.
No, he was excellent in that film. We don't see too much of him. ఒక సంవత్సరానికి ఒక మూవీ చేస్తాడో ఏంటో, బట్ వెన్ హీ డస్ ఇట్ హీ మేక్స్ ఇట్ వెరీ వర్త్ వైల్. కంప్లీట్ క్రెడిట్ టు ద రైటర్ అండ్ ద డైరెక్టర్ ఫర్ డీలింగ్ విత్ అ వెరీ సెన్సిటివ్ సబ్జెక్ట్ లైక్ దిస్. Because when you talk about a woman who does not want to get married, does not want the conventional idea of motherhood, but she wants to be a mother, something which she's seen in her childhood, so she's very scared of getting into a marriage and all that. But ala unnappudu, I think that's sperm donation, and how do you assess the quality of somebody. Very urban and very contemporary kind of a story. It dealt with sensitivity, and both of them were really good.
Yes.
Anushka was very classy and restrained, and he though went all out for his stand-up comedy, and he was good fun.
So we have October, November and December. October we had Mad, Kalyan Shankars and backed by Sitara Entertainment.
Okay.
So Mad we had, then month of Madhu, Shrikant Nagoti's film, Naveen Chandra and Swathi in the main lead. And then Bhagavanth Kesari, Balakrishna Garu and Anil Ravipudi.
Okay.
So
we'll start with Mad. Mad చూసేటప్పుడు I remember I told myself, okay, you have to put yourself in the shoes of a 20-year-old, which is not going to happen. But you have to go with that mindset into this hall because the jokes are very different. The setting is very different.
Yes.
So theatre enter అయ్యే ముందు కూడా I told one of my other reviewer friends also, I said, this is not for our age group. We have to like really get into their mindset and then enjoy. But I had a blast. Absolutely had a blast. It just didn't stop. 2021, I think we had Jati Ratnalu kada, Anudeep's movie. So this year we have Mad. That kind of a farcical comedy or a silly comedy. And Sangeet Soban and Vishnu Oy, both of them were terrific. Absolutely great performers.
Sangeet is too good.
Yeah.
I think he's just rocked it on.
Lots of gags, and then Muralidhar Gaud, I think he's become like a constant fixture for a lot of the father roles, and each time he pulls it off. Pulls it off. The kind of dialogues that he tells his son and then in front of the principal, all that is like hilarious. Oka egg puff kosam campus war start ayindi, and this is the history of a campus war, and people are still going on with it. And they also got in Anudeep for a like a blink and miss cameo and all that. I thought they knew what they were doing and they did it very well. It was great fun to watch.
So I liked one scene wherein he says, ఒక బ్యాడ్ హెడ్ ఉంటుంది ఒక సార్కి, దువ్వేస్తారా సార్ అని అడుగుతాడు. No, ఇట్లాంటి కామెడీ, సిల్లీ కామెడీ, like
it's very tough to pull off also. If you have this kind of a comedy, somebody will say you're body shaming, and how do you remain appropriate but still crack a joke and all that? And
exactly.
Even the love stories I thought were like quite decently played. All the girls also were not like sidelined and all that. Very relatable. Very not too filmy and all that. It was nice. It was actually like getting into a campus life.
And it reminded me of Boys Hostel, one film that released.
Kannada film.
And that was backed by Chai Biscuit. So
the Telugu dubbing was backed by
backed by Chai Biscuit. So నాకు కొంచెం దాని షేడ్స్ అంటే కనిపించాయి కొంచెం అక్కడ ఇక్కడ కాస్త ఆ టైప్ లో అనిపించింది కొంచెం. Then we have Month of Madhu.
One of my favorite films this year.
One of mine also. Even I loved it. I liked the film a lot.
Shrikant
Nagoti didn't do well in the box office.
Adi, I think there were a lot of factors. I think that week there were other 3 or 4 movies which released, I thought. 4 movies release అయితే మరి ఏది చూస్తారు అనేసి జనాలు కూడా they would have already made up their mind. That was one factor. Also, it was a very niche kind of a film. I'm glad that it's finding its audience in the digital space and people are really welcoming it and liking it for what it is. Also a very experimental film in terms of its narrative structure, the back and forth editing, things like that. There's people have gotten so used to one pre-interval point and things like that, but this one cuts off almost abruptly. You don't think that this is like a pre-intervention moment at all. So it's almost like he's giving you like different snatches of their life back and forth and asking you to be very invested in it. Put the puzzle together and make up your mind for yourself. It's a film about love. It's also about learning to let go of love. Right. Which was the best part of it, I thought.
I like this part wherein he doesn't end it in a happy ending. అంటే మా అందరూ అనుకుంటారు ఇద్దరు కలిసిపోతారు ఇంకా లాస్ట్ ఈవెన్ కోర్ట్ సీన్ దగ్గర కూడా ఒక ఫర్గివ్నెస్ లాగా వచ్చేస్తుంది. దే థింక్ దే బోత్ నౌ ప్యాచ్డ్ అప్ అని.
లేదు, that is what makes the movie all the more beautiful because he has learned finally. He's stuck at a point kada, when that lawyer keeps asking him ఎందుకోసం విడిపోయారు అంటే he goes on and on and on about chicken or mutton packet being there, and then she's not around in the house. So
And
he's
that line,
ఎవరికి తెలుసు.
is that line which is like ఎంత అన్నవేరు ఉన్నాడు ఈ మనిషి అనిపిస్తుంది.
He's stuck there. He's not been able to see the situation for what it is and all that. And but finally, when he understands what it is, and out of respect for her, he lets her go. And there were a lot of nice things in that. Loneliness is a aspect that all the three characters, whether it is Madhusudan or the younger Madhu and Lekha, all three of them battle. That also was like explained very well. And the younger character, if you think about it, it's like, you know, it's the child that these two could never have. If they had had a child, she would have been 18 or 19, and probably somebody else of that age group is very important and like a catalyst to kind of give an outside perspective about these two people who are going through a relationship issue and all that also.
It's a beautiful film. Then we have Bhagavanth Kesari. సో షోయింగ్ బాలకృష్ణ ఇన్ డిఫరెంట్ వే. అసలు ఒక తండ్రి పాత్రలో, శ్రీలీలకు తండ్రి పాత్ర అంటే తండ్రి లైక్ అ క్యారెక్టర్, అండ్ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ యునో బనావ్ బేటీ కో షేర్, అండ్ దెన్ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ చైల్డ్ అబ్యూస్. డింట్ ఎక్స్పెక్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ అనిల్ రావిపూడి, బికాజ్ ఆయన సినిమాలన్నీ ఒక హై వోల్టేజ్ కామెడీ, ఫుల్ ఎంటర్టైనర్స్ అలా తీసుకుంటూ వచ్చారు ఇప్పటి వరకు. So this is something which is out of the box, and there were no songs, there were no item songs. There was something I felt Anil Ravipudi has beaten his own, and ఆయన stereotype ni ఆయన break చేసుకున్నాడు అని అనిపించింది నాకు.
Also, I think when he took up this challenge of working with a star like Balakrishna, he made him do something a little different. It's still very mainstream. It's still not a very wholesome film, I would say. I had my reservations while watching it. I'll discuss that. But due credit to use a star like Balakrishna and then talk about educating your child, also teaching about good touch, bad touch. See, manalanti vallu, we have different sources of information to learn these things from, to impart to our own, you know, children in our families or extended families and all that. But when you use a star like, say, Pawan Kalyan or Balakrishna to talk about these things, the reach is very far and very wide, deep into the villages, deep into different areas, and then go watch this film along with your daughters and Inatu. That's the thing that you tell them. So complete appreciation for that. So it's almost like everybody said Balakrishna went woke. Balaya garu woke, and I say. So that was an interesting thing, and you know, he and Srileela having that pre-climax fight together was a very nice one, which you don't see often in a mainstream Telugu film.
ఒప్పుకోరు కదా ముందు. This was,
but where I thought they could have even done better annappudu, it's about see, the Balakrishna's character never tells Srileela, why I want to make you an army woman, or why do I want to strengthen you, why do I want to, you know, see you not just be a girl and getting married and all that, and you know, to bring out the tougher side of you and koncham explain chesindachu. It's almost like he's trying to impose his ideas on her, and she doesn't know why he's doing that. So there's like a resistance kada. That could have been changed little. And yeah, even within the mainstream format or whatever, adi koncham change chesindachu. And there's also one very unintentionally funny scene where కాజల్ ని 30+ and ఆంటీ ఇంత చేసిన వాళ్ళు మీరు couldn't you have written that a little better?
Then in November we had Keedaa Cola, Maa Oori Polimera 2, and then Mangalavaaram. So Keedaa Cola is again the very very classic Tarun Bhaskar film. Like, Tarun Bhaskar is again a director who's like, he ventures, he experiments with his own self, and ఆయన రాత తీత అన్ని కూడా చాలా డిఫరెంట్ గా ఉంటాయి. And what did you like about the film, and if there's anything that you didn't like about the film, what is it? నాకైతే Keedaa Cola చాలా nachindi.
Okay.
What do you
think? Even I didn't have too much grudge against Keedaa Cola. I liked the film. I think I didn't watch the preview. Thank God I didn't go for the preview, but because akkadi nunchi చాలా mixed talk వచ్చింది బయట. I went and quietly watched the next day morning, early morning show, and I absolutely had a blast. And
I also didn't watch the preview.
So very ensemble kind of characters, and it's not like the buddy comedy that he's done before, not like the family rom-com that he's done before. Eccentric characters who can do anything at all, just for a cockroach, They see that as a passport to a lot of money. So a premise like that, and what grandfather grandson relationship, somebody has a Tourette syndrome, somebody is wheelchair bound, all that. But even then they are very self depreciatory remarks are also there, and so a lot of the fun I absolutely liked. The biggest surprise for me in that film was Tarun Bhaskar, the actor, as Naidu kada. Naidu is his character name, and Sikandar Vishnu again. వాళ్ళ ఇద్దరు మధ్యలో ఉన్న సీన్స్, I think those were the best portions of the film, and with Jeevan also involved in that. So that comedy was written terrifically, and Naidu was also performed excellently. We went in thinking certain other characters are like the heroes of the film, but
he's the hero.
ultimately it is Naidu who's like the hero of the film. Avanni baane undi. And I also like the fact that, see, in this film everybody is like a male character. The only female presence is through that doll called Barbie. And they cleverly use that Barbie doll to take a dig at the film industry and how women are represented, and you know, things like that. Those were nice. On the flip side, I thought konni characters ekkuva use cheyaledu. One of the characters, if I have to take an example, would be Raghuram's character. Shots anesi, you give him such a aura and then say that he's such a maniac and you better not cross paths with him. What does he actually do? Nothing much actually. So koncham flaws akkada ikkada. There are a few things which I thought could have been done even better, but in spite of it I enjoyed all the Easter eggs in that movie also. The reference to Kaushik is like always a character in Tarun's movies. And even the very small things, like when you come back after the interval and it's Geeta Bhaskar who reads out that no smoking disclaimer, and then she says, is that clear? ఈ నగరానికి ఏమైంది చూసిన వాళ్ళకి అర్థమవుతుంది. ఇస్ దట్ క్లియర్ అనేది, దేర్ ఇస్ లైక్ a teacher character over there who says that, and that becomes like a gag in that thing. So he's also giving a throwback to his own films and all that. I would still say I like Pelli Choopulu and ee nagaraniki emaindi more than Keedaa Cola. But Keedaa Cola also was like a lot of fun.
I really liked the elevation scenes of Tarun Bhaskar. అంటే అతను ఆ పంచ కట్టుకోవడం, ఆ షూ వేసుకొని, ఆ సిగరెట్ షూకి ఇట్లా రాసుకొని, దాన్ని అదే ఎలివేషన్, ఎస్పెషల్లీ ద క్లైమాక్స్ సీన్ లో ద వే హీ కమ్స్, ద వే హీ ఎంటర్స్, ఇస్ లైక్ whole lot of laughter.
ఇంకొక చిన్న కంప్లైంట్ అబౌట్ దట్ మూవీ ఏంటంటే, ఇప్పుడు బ్రహ్మానందం గారు ఈజ్ లైక్ వన్, ఓకే, ఇఫ్ యువర్ ఇంటెన్షన్ వాస్ టు షో హిమ్ యాజ్ అ క్యారెక్టర్ ఆర్టిస్ట్, ఐ అండర్స్టాండ్, బట్ I thought there'll be something more with him. Comedy ani kaadu, but somehow I felt like, okay, he's just looking at everything that's going on, all the madness that's going on, but he's not contributing to anything at all. I thought he was underutilized.
ఆయన ప్లేస్ లో ఎవరైనా ఉండొచ్చు అన్నది అనిపించింది. It need not be Brahmanandam. It can be anybody. But Brahmanandam will add value to the film.
He definitely adds value to the film, but I thought Tarun could have used him in a little better way.
So Maa Oori Polimera too.
I watched the film. I won't say I liked it too much. They knew how to keep it engaging by throwing a lot of twists and turns and so many other things. And then, see, on one hand we talk about big action movies. On the other hand, these kind of thrillers, small town thrillers, and then those supernatural themes are also doing very well. The actors were quite interesting and very well performed. Satyam Rajesh, even the other girl who acted in Kamakshi, right? Dr. Kamakshi. She also did it very well. But you're walking a thin line between showing superstition and endorsing or glorifying it. That was my reservation. That was one of my reservations. Also, there were like too many twists and turns and things like that. But this film is a very interesting exercise to see. Nobody gave it a chance. Nobody would have thought this would have become such a big phenomenon. Initial first film ento OTT lo release ayi adi anta pedda phenomenon ayi, and then they made a second part, released it in theaters, and it went to packed houses. Obviously they know what people are.
But this is what I liked about this particular film. Enti ante such a small film, andaru chinna chinna actorlu, ante predominantly not the big stars. వీళ్ళందరూ కలిసి కూడుకొని ఒక డైరెక్టర్ ఒక థాట్ తో, ఒక విజన్ తో 2 పార్ట్స్ లో తిన్నది. ఎంతో మంది ఫస్ట్ పార్ట్ తీసి ఫెయిల్ అయిన వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు డైరెక్టర్, సెకండ్ పార్ట్ తీయాలా వద్దా అని అనుకున్నారు. దిస్ ఫిలిం ఫస్ట్ పార్ట్ డిడ్ వెల్, సెకండ్ పార్ట్ ఆల్సో డిడ్ వెల్, అండ్ ది సస్టైనింగ్ ఆఫ్ సస్పెన్స్ ఈజ్ వన్ థింగ్, as you rightly said, superstition avanni, even I also,
It makes me a little eerie. Maybe that's not my cup of tea, so I
for me
can't
also.
be.
I mean, I don't agree with that.
And
But
some of the scenes
as I
when
said-
Satyam Rajesh does a few things, I actually was like, it freaks me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mangalavaaram again another supernatural
Another
thriller.
supernatural kind of a
So
thing, but it's
directed
actually
by
a
Ajay
crime.
Bhupati and Payal Rajput in full
Yeah.
form
Yeah.
this time. She had ఒక series of flops తర్వాత
Yeah.
అమ్మాయికి ఒక సినిమా పడ్డది.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say?
Also, he took it inside a jungle region, chinna oka area, a small town, a village, and then whatever is happening over there and all that he did. Some of the things were interesting. They also knew how to hold the suspense till quite a bit of the time, until the last few episodes or whatever. Some of the things I didn't work for me in this film was like the crude humor, even in the initial portions where Ajay Ghosh and another character was concerned and all that. I thought that was a little bordering on, just not a very good sense of humor at all. And you also have Nandita Shweta's character, who you think will do a lot more. But beyond that persona, she's not actually doing something which you think she could turn the tables on whatever is happening and all that. Adi ekkuva ledu. And they tried to bring in a few Kantara-like elements. Not all of it I thought worked greatly. I must be one of the few people who also would say that even the final portions with the reveal of Priyadashi's character didn't work greatly for me.
Okay.
Because suddenly you're zooming out and you're telling me that in that picture he was also there all along. Okay, we have not seen. It's a visual medium. Works greatly as a plot device maybe. But how will you tell me that nobody in the village has noticed him? Kada?
Okay.
Yeah. But again, there are a few likable things also in that movie. Towards the final end, you almost know about a character who you think is like blind or whatever, and then how he has been a catalyst in that revenge drama and that thing like that. I thought that was a smart touch. And also Payal Rajput's condition, how her character was conceptualized and all that. It's like walking on a razor's edge, and you flip a little and it'll almost become like voyeuristic and things like that.
True.
Lots of twists and turns again in this movie also, but I didn't like it wholesome. It didn't work for me.
What I felt about the film is, picking up a concept called nymphomania and driving the film on that. దాని గురించి మాట్లాడటము, ఒక సెక్స్ అడిక్ట్ ఉన్న వాళ్ళది అదొక డిజార్డర్ అని చెప్పటము, దాని మీద ఆ పాయింటర్ మీద సినిమాని తీసుకెళ్ళడం, అది కూడా ఒక ఉమెన్ who's an nymphomania. So these things, something I felt it is something new. And something
Ravindra Vijay plays a doctor character where he explains properly, saying that oka ammaiki oka monthly, even during periods she can be ostracized and all that in this kind of a village and this kind of a setting. Ilanti oka condition, how do I explain to people that she had something like this and she'll be looked upon in a very different light?
Will anybody accept that antar chudu? అది చాలా.
Also Payal Rajput's courage to take up a character like this and do it. I think she gave it all, and she did it well.
Yes. So the last December month, we had big films. One is Animal, directed by our own Sandeep Reddy Vanga, and then we had Salaar, Prashant Neel gari cinema with Prabhas in the lead, and then we had Hi Nanna. So మూడు different themes and concepts, మూడు different genres, and మూడు they did very well.
So Animal is a Hindi film, but because it's by Sandeep Reddy Vanga, we are discussing.
Okay. Ante. Sandeep Reddy Vanga is a Telugu director, and I think we need to take pride because it is almost reaching 1,000 crore now. Collections, box office collections. So there are అంటే దాని మీద హేట్రెడ్ స్పిల్ అయింది, దాని గురించి నెగటివ్ గా మాట్లాడుతున్నారు, దాన్ని ఇష్టం వచ్చినట్టు అంటున్నారు. వి ఆల్ షుడ్ అడ్మిట్, అంటే ఎవరి ఒపీనియన్స్ వాళ్ళవి, ఎవరి పర్సెప్షన్ వాళ్ళది, బట్ వీ కాంట్ snub it off totally saying that this has collected, it's a box office collection. We can't say no to it. So Animal is Animal, and many people liked it. And then Salaar, again Prashant Neel's wonder. So Prabhas's film, and after so many flops, Prabhas series of flops, and this is like
long after Bahubali, I think.
Exactly. So let's talk about one one after the other. First,
Okay,
Animal.
Okay. Okay, I'll be very honest. Animal, I went with the mindset that the film is called Animal, and he's being very clear about what kind of a story he's going to tell. And he's also upfront that this is not a movie for anybody below the age of 18. Pre-release interview చేసినప్పుడు explain చేశారు. He told me that I don't want anybody in my family also, who are the kids and extended family kids, to watch Animal as it is. Maybe I'll have a slightly toned down version for them and all that. So a filmmaker is correctly telling you what to expect from a film, right? And you go with the mindset of watching, okay, what will somebody of an animalistic mindset, or almost like a, if I may use this term, caveman psychopath kind of a character do. So I was prepared for it. Let's go and watch what he does. Also, Sandeep has a very different kind of a filmmaking technique. Irrespective of whether you like his film or you don't like his film, you cannot take your eyes away from the screen.
Exactly.
You have to give it to him there. He has the audacity to break the very conventional short division structure and tell you a different kind of a story and keep you arrested. Okay, so full marks for him there here as well, because I was like watching and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It was like that. I couldn't take my eyes away. It's not like I liked everything that I saw, but I couldn't take my eyes away. And a lot of the way Ranbir's character behaves is because of that animal instinct which is there with him. Okay, and in turn it is a film which is meant to provoke the audience as well. ఇప్పుడు చూసిన వాళ్ళందరూ the way they reacted around me. I watched the Hindi film, so it's like a lot of Hindi speaking people were around me, and the way they were cheering and clapping, how many of them saw it purely for the filmmaking technique or for the celebration of the character, I have no idea, but this is how it was. But later, I would say well beyond post intermission and all that, I was like, okay, now there's a lot of excess in whatever you're trying to show, and I didn't really appreciate everything, or it didn't work for me.
No, and same with me, Sangeetha. I did not like it in entirety, but I liked the film. మీరు అన్నట్టు 3.5 hours ఒక మనిషిని అలా కట్టిపడేసి సినిమా చూపించడం అంటే అది నాట్ ఎ జోక్. It's a greatness of a director. At the same time, there are a few things.
I had really a few reservations as well. Even in terms of how much is too much to show, each one has their own barometer of what I consider it as too much may not be too much for somebody else, and they might love everything that's been shown in the film. Last airstrip meeda, when they have that hand-to-hand combat and all, I was like, okay, enough. So I kind of ఇంకా చాలా అనిపించింది, బట్ ఆబ్వియస్లీ హీ ఈజ్ ఇన్ నో మూడ్ టు రిలెంట్ బికాస్ వీఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు సీ అనిమల్ పార్క్ యాజ్ వెల్. One of the things is, it's always subjective, and you can keep debating about it and go nowhere when you talk about social responsibility of a filmmaker. I mean, there are people who will tell you that you will never get a Wolf of Wall Street if you only go by, like very noble characters who should play the heroes and things like that. When a very badass character is shown, sometimes, especially when you have a great background score like the one which Harshavardhan gave for this film, you end up, of course it becomes like a celebration and things like that. Should cinema have a social responsibility or not is your call to take. It is A-rated, so you make a choice whether we want to watch the film. If I'm not reviewing a film, if I'm not somebody who's in the business of writing about cinema, probably this is not my cup of tea. So I have my choice to make, kada, and we cannot tell a filmmaker what to make, what not to make. We don't. We consume. It's up to us whether you want to buy a ticket and go watch the movie or not. At the same time, while watching a film, somewhere within ourselves also, you cannot dissociate completely and watch it only as a film. సినిమాని సినిమాలాగా చూడండి అంటారు, నాట్ జస్ట్ ఇన్ తెలుగు, తమిళ్లో కూడా అందరూ అంటారు. ఎవ్రీవేర్ పీపుల్ సే దట్. సో సమ్వేర్ వెన్ ఐమ్ వాచింగ్ సర్టన్ థింగ్స్ ఐమ్ లైక్, ఓ గాడ్, ఐ హోప్ నోబడీ గెట్స్ ఐడియాస్ ఫ్రమ్ దిస్. దట్ ఆల్సో వాజ్ రన్నింగ్ త్రూ మై మైండ్.
పీపుల్ సే దే డోంట్ గెట్ ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్. అఫ్ కోర్స్ సొసైటీని చూసి సినిమాలు ఎట్లా చేస్తున్నారో, సినిమాలను చూసి సొసైటీలో కూడా
ఇట్స్ బోత్ వేస్.
సో ఐఎమ్ షూర్ పీపుల్ విల్ గెట్ ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్, బట్ ఎంతమంది ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్ అవుతారు అన్నది పాయింట్ ఇక్కడ. అయిన వాళ్ళు బీభత్సంగా అవ్వచ్చు,
See,
అవ్వని
if
వాళ్ళు
you have the clarity of thought, you should understand that you're going to watch a movie.
ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ.
You're going to watch a movie which is called Animal, and that character is behaving like an animal or like an animalistic tendency. Do you want to
go and
follow
watch
him?
the film, that's it.
Yeah, ante, that's it.
Okay, so Salaar.
Okay, so we are jumping to a big movie again.
Yes.
Salaar. Salaar చూసినప్పుడు the first about 1 hour 14 minutes is the pre-interval portion kada. I was like, okay, something will happen, and it's taking its own sweet time to happen. Almost like a Basha kind of a template. A man is living in exile, and then here and there they're giving you hints that he's cut out for something big, and there's a lot of build-up, if I can use that very common term called build-up. So many characters give him build-up. His mother and
his friend, his మొత్తం చిన్నపిల్లలు కూడా,
చిన్నపిల్లలు, everybody, and so you're like very patiently waiting for something to happen. And so the actual payoff begins only in the second half when he takes you into that world of Kansar. Kansar is like Prashant Neel's own Game of Thrones, which is happening over there. Took me some time to understand who are all the very different characters, how are they related, what is that tree, and who is gunning for whom or whatever. But so the very, very meticulous world building is what he's done for Kansar also. A Kansar history ekkada from 11th century onwards, what has happened, the 3 tribes, how is their political equation, social equation, and why are they fighting, all that. I think this is a film where if you like action dramas నచ్చలేదు అన్న వాళ్ళు they will not like it. They'll say what is this huge hangama about అనేసి వెళ్ళిపోతారు. For the others who like action drama, this is a film which he knew very well that people will come back and watch it a second time. So he leaves a lot of clues for you to sit and absorb and then like. Immediately you might like those few action episodes which are like slow burn laga it's built up, and then that Katerama sequence is the one which I think everybody loves about it and all that. So it leads up to that whole thing, and that color scheme is again like KGF, and he admitted in an interview that he has black. OCD, so he likes those minimalistic colors or whatever, and red as a contrast again. Asalaina story, I think only in the second part we are still waiting for
just a ceasefire, no?
It's a ceasefire. The performances wise, I thought Prithviraj did very well within what was required. Prabha's screen time is very less. If you take the entire film, somebody even had like a calculation of how many minutes he's seen on screen and all that. So it's absolutely the director's master stroke to make use of a persona and give you those kind of star kind of mass moments that you've been waiting for. Much after Bahubali, I think this is the only film that has utilized Prabhas very well.
And the fans are very happy.
I won't say I'm very happy with that film. I had a few reservations also. But because I know that probably it's all leading up to the second part, I'll wait patiently. Shruti Hassan's character is like any one of us. She's like the most normal person in that world, I think. Because she's thrown into it and she can't understand. So it very clever choice that somebody is narrating a story to her and she's like, wait, I can't understand, what is this? And at one point she says, I think I need a drink. No, that could be anybody, like one of us who's trying to figure out what's happening in that world. Inkoka point ఏంటంటే most of the female characters except Shriya Reddy, they all become like a tool. They get reduced to a tool of sexual oppression, which I hope there are better ways to portray women in this. It's almost like a curse if you're born inside Kansar kada. All those tribal girls, what they go through and all that. Sometimes I feel our mainstream films also have to think of very different these things have become a little repetitive across mass masala films of different kinds of languages. It's time to look at something new, I thought.
Then finally our own Hi Nanna.
Very reassuring. It's almost like a chicken soup for the soul antar kada. One of those kind of movies. ఆ ట్రైలర్ చూసినప్పుడు అర్థమైంది ఏంటంటే ఏదో ఒక పాయింట్ వాళ్ళు దాచిపెట్టుకుంటున్నారు. They're not revealing. Though Shauryu kept saying I believe in the trailer game and 80% of the story will be known. No. That
Trailer
was
also
not
they
the
didn't reveal.
thing.
Yeah.
And you understood why.
Yeah.
Film చూసేనప్పుడు immediate reaction was like I was very moved by certain portions of the film. I was like in tears, but I also had a few conflicting thoughts, because there are certain I don't want to get into the storyline because our film inka OTT lo raaledu and people are still going and watching it in theaters. Certain plot devices which can be said to be cliches.
Yeah.
Okay, that can be said about the movie. And even towards the end, lots of convenient coincidences happen in the hospital and all that. So I was like, maybe they could have done something better. And I said that was my immediate reaction. But I let this film sink in. Even after hours, I was tearing up and things like that. And it made me think, why am I reacting this way? I went and saw it once more as well. Review rasasanu. I wrote what I thought. I really loved what I loved in the movie. I really loved. And I liked the fact that even within that kind of so-called cliched way of using an accident or whatever, he used it to contrast the two characters.
Yeah.
One is Nani's character, which is very innocent, romantic, and very optimistic about life. She has her own anxiety and fear because of coming from a broken home. And the very thought of getting into marriage and pregnancy scares her a lot.
Yes.
And they actually didn't brush it away. The answers come in the songs actually. Koncham later on, once the soundtrack and all that is out, Adiga song lyrics, and then even Chedu Nijam, they address it. And it's at that time that Nani's character understands that, okay, I have given you a lot of grief, I have given you a lot of fear. Next time I will not do this. That's why he holds back. He doesn't reveal the truth, even though he knows the Jairam's character, finally the way they spill a certain secret or whatever. It was all
very
so
sensibly made
done.
film.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
And the way the dialogues were written, I liked so many dialogues in the film.
Very sensibly.
one-liners.
Nagendra Kasi wrote the dialogues kada. He's written it very, very well.
And as you said, the last 20 minutes is like, oh my God.
Right from the beginning point, I was like very invested in the whole thing. Little things also you'll notice when you watch it even the second time. Very, very subtly, they've also given like I don't know if it was like a homage to Maniratnam or whatever. Koncham oka Geetanjali laga oka somewhere in some situation. And then there's also an Anjali kind of a thing which you can reinterpret. And then Saki as well, Alaypayude. And Pluto is one of my favorite supporting characters.
But actually, we should speak about the four characters. Nani, Mrinal, Kiara and Pluto.
Yeah.
They are the one. Then Darshi.
Yeah.
Again,
Darshi
as I
also.
said, Darshi's here.
Yeah. Small touches when I have to say, it's also about Darshi's character. Darshi's character akkada Viraj is Nani's character. No? Tamma ani pilistadu. That's because they are coming from that Ooty Kunnur belt. So that the Toda tribes, people, that's part of their language. So little bit of nativity references there, and there are areas where people talk in Hindi, they talk in Tamil, they talk in Telugu, they talk in English, and it's very matter of fact. They did not translate every single line or like superimpose a voice and stuff like that. Nani's performance, I think, he's like, there's a lot of turmoil in that character as a single dad, the pressure that he's under, and he wants to do the best, and what he's reflecting outside. And I thought he pulled it off very well. By now, we've taken it for granted that he can be a very good on-screen father after Jersey and now, and it's one of his finest performances, I would say, and he can make you tear up for a long time after you leave the hall also. That sincerity in his performance, I wish he would never let go.
Even I don't think
I hope so.
I was talking to Nani recently and I was telling him, అంటే డైలాగ్స్ లేకుండా ఏమీ లేకుండా జస్ట్ ఫేషియల్ ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్స్, హెడ్ నోట్స్ తోని మీరు ఎట్లా అండి సస్టైన్ చేస్తారు ఒక సీన్, అసలు అర్థమైపోతుంది ఎదుటి వాళ్ళకి ఆయన ఏం చెప్దాం అనుకుంటున్నాడు అన్నది. జస్ట్ విత్ హిస్ ఐస్ అండ్ ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్స్ అండ్ హెడ్ నోట్స్ he will convey the message without dialogues. That is the beauty of Nani, and he's like Mercury. You put him anywhere, he will excel.
Also Mrunal and Kiara. Mrunal, it was a very wise choice for her, I thought, to wait for this film after Sita Ramam. I think in one of the Hindi interviews, she had Cannes Film Festival, when she had gone there, she mentioned that I've never come across a story and a screenplay like Hi Nanna and Essie. She made a statement. So I was like wondering what is so unique about it. But when you watch the film, you really know how her character was written and all that. That baby was also like adorable.
She was brilliant.
Yeah.
Before we end, we need to talk about some great OTT releases. That is Dhootha, Vyuham, Save the Tigers, then Daya, and then Kumari Srimathi. I think ఈ వెబ్ సిరీస్ they were too good.
Yeah, I liked all of these that you mentioned. Vyuham okati I couldn't watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that weekend I wasn't keeping too well or whatever. And then it was like a 7-hour commitment kada, if you have to watch a series. So I couldn't watch it. But Kumari Srimathi, I absolutely liked. Srinivasa Avasarala, the way he wrote it, and Nithya Menon's acting, Thiruveer. It was pulled off very nicely. Very story idea of a girl from that kind of a background getting into a liquor business.
Idea
and all that.
idea.
This is where the digital medium is there, kada. You can't do these stories in a larger than life format. So you put it in the digital space, and they did that very well. Good series. Dhootha was a surprise. Because again, the trailer could not have given away any more surprises because you'll be letting over plot points and all that. So I'm very happy that Vikram Kumar and Naga Chaitanya like found their groove back and they came back to Parvati also. I really liked the way her character was written and how she goes about a methodical precision of a detective, and the way it's almost like a textbook kind of a working method. The way she follows and all that. I liked that. And Daya, I thought it was an interesting piece of work. Bengali original but I thought they adapted it very well. And I believe they've made a lot of changes to it. Apart from the fact that he's a driver, nothing else is common between the two. Good performance by J.D. Chakravarti, even the small role that Isha Rabba has. But the entire series works like a prelude to what is going to come about. That's the feeling you get. Because there are lots of things that they are holding back. So it's almost like this is like the trailer for the next one. That's how they've mounted it. Save the Tigers was like a riot. It was good fun.
I watched it actually before the film released on OTT. There was a premiere and I was rolling in laughter. I was literally falling down from the chair. It was that hilarious. అసలు పిచ్చి పిచ్చిగా నచ్చింది నాకు ఆ వెబ్ సిరీస్ సేవ్ ద టైగర్స్.
Okay.
And especially all these 6 characters. They were super. What did you think? Did you watch in OTT or ముందే చూసారా?
లేదు OTT లోనే చూసాను. I think that was almost similar time when Agent and all that came about also. I was not in town, so I didn't review it also. Much later I saw. My colleagues had seen and they were like all like raving about it and said, how did you miss this? It's super fun. And so I watched it later and I had fun. And one more series, New Sense.
Yes.
A very small town kind of a setting, and looking at the media and the way it functions, stringers. And
it was very good.
That was nice. Interesting story. But
Vyuham you didn't see.
Vyuham నేను చూడలేదు.
should catch up on that series.
I think a lot of things it's also becoming very tough to keep track of everything. According to Telugu Film Producers Council, 300 films approximately have released in theatres this year, Telugu films, of which 230 are straight Telugu films, and then 70 dubbed films.
Okay.
So
before we end, I mean, though it is a great year, it was not as great as last year, I felt. ఈ ఇయర్ ఎన్ని సినిమాలు రిలీజ్ అయినా సక్సెస్ రేట్ ఈస్ నాట్ దట్ గుడ్ ఆర్ బిగ్ ఆర్ గ్రేట్. It could have been better. So hoping 2024 would be much better and bigger and greater and
success
nicer.
rate, and also I hope we get a wide variety of genres and storylines also. This year looked like it was like in a state of influx. ఒక ట్రాన్సిషన్ ఇయర్ లాగా అనిపిస్తుంది. I really hope we find our feet and have better stories.
Thank you so much, Sangeetha.
Thanks.
It was wonderful talking.
Thanks. I hope I made sense. So it was okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So here's a gift hamper from Millet Bank.
Thank you.